Hello, and welcome to the first official episode of Rogue Reader Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about this book, On the Run by Iris Johansen. And I should probably start by letting you guys know that I read this book for the first time when I was 15 or 16 years old, something like that, and absolutely fell in love with it. It has been my favorite book ever since. So that's where we are starting here. But I'm going to try to make this review as unbiased as possible, for better or worse. So to start us off, the story is classified as a thriller. So if that's the kind of thing that you like, then you're already getting started on the right foot. And the story is about this woman named Grace Archer whose father was in the CIA, and as a child she spent every summer on her grandparents' farm in Australia, on her grandparents' horse farm. But then, from fall through spring, she was with her dad all over the world doing all kinds of crazy, dangerous stuff. But she loved it, and so when she grew up, she decided to join the CIA because they had this special assignment for her that only she could do, because she has this incredible gift with horses that she credits to all the summers that she spent with her grandparents in Australia. And she gets very defensive if you call her horse whisperer, but nonetheless she has the gift. So there was this whole thing. There's this bad guy named Marvo. He has these two horses, these white Arabian horses that they call the pair. And these horses are completely untamed. They're 100% wild, and they're mean, and they're just awful, but they know the way to the secret treasure that is supposed to make Marvo a billionaire. And so he thinks that if Grace can tame the horses, then she can get them to lead him to the treasure, and he will just become rich beyond his wildest dreams. So that's all backstory, though. Basically, it's never really explained what exactly happened, but the gist of it was that that something happened and her father died. He was killed by Marvo's men. And at the time, she was working for the CIA with a man named Jake Kilmer, who she was also sleeping with because they were madly, passionately in love, whatever. Fast forward 9 years. Grace is living with her daughter, Frankie, who is 8 years old. You can go ahead and do the math. I'll wait. And so she and Frankie are living on this horse farm with an old man named Charlie. And Grace trains the horses. She's very, very good at it, and Frankie is not so bad herself with the horses. She doesn't have the gift that Grace does, but for being 8 years old, she's a pretty talented equestrian. She is also precocious in every way imaginable. She is very smart, very mature, like so much so that I feel like 8 years old was probably not a good age to give her. I don't know, she should have been at least like 12 or something. Because she's just so, okay, I am mature beyond my years. I always have been. I probably always will be until I'm like 80. But she's over the top. Let's just be honest. She's over the top. And so, but and she's also this amazing music composer. She hears this music in the air, and then she writes it down, she plays it on her keyboard, whatever. She's this prodigy. And so she and her mom are living on this horse farm with Charlie, and there's this other guy in their lives, Robert Blockman, who works for the CIA and who has been assigned to protect Grace because the bad guy, Marvo, the guy with the horses, is still after her. He still wants Grace's help with this, and so she's hiding out in Alabama. She got a new identity, a new everything. So, but as these things happen in books, especially in thrillers. One night, everything goes wrong, and the bad guys find out where she is. They come to the horse farm to get her, and it goes badly. Charlie ends up killed, and Grace is only saved because her ex-boss slash boyfriend, Jake Kilmer, comes to her rescue, and he rescues her and Frankie and Robert Blockman, and he takes them to this motel for a couple days just to kind of hide out, and then he ends up taking them to a horse farm in Colorado because he says that he wants Frankie to be somewhere where she feels comfortable in a familiar environment until they can get this all worked out, and until the situation kind of blows over and they can come to some kind of resolution, something where Marvo is no longer going to be after Grace. Whatever. Okay. Which brings me to my next point, which is that for everything great about this novel, there are a couple of things that really drive me crazy. For one thing, Grace's relationship with Jake. We are led to believe as readers that 9 years ago they had this incredibly intense, emotional, passionate affair. Whatever, fine. But then, so when Grace and Jake are together in the present time, they still have all these romantic feelings all these sexual feelings for each other, but the sexual tension in this novel is awful. It is. It's like Grace and Jake could be having this totally normal conversation about anything, and Grace is totally fine. She's like, I haven't had a man in my life in 9 years, whatever. I have Frankie, I have my horses, I'm good. And then all of a sudden, she's talking to Jake, and she's like, we used to have this really, really passionate love affair with each other. And I still feel that. And then for the rest of the conversation, she can think of nothing else but how badly she wants to get in his pants. And it's weird because I don't know if I'm doing this sexual attraction thing wrong or not, but when I'm with someone who I'm attracted to, I think about it every second that I'm with them. And, okay, so I accept that they're in this life or death situation and that, sometimes things have to be more important, but this whole thing of her, her having to remind herself to be attracted to him, it's weird, okay? But on the flip side of that, I will say that one of the best things about this novel is that Jake and Frankie's relationship. At the beginning of the story, they don't know each other, they've never met, and it's kind of weird. But yet as the story progresses and they become so close, and it's done in such an adorable way that I just love it. I love it so much. And another thing that I will say about this novel is that it is structured really well. In the sense that everything just happens the way that it feels like it should, and despite some of the characters, I don't know, some of them have kind of weird motivations, but it all just makes sense. The story is put together in you really feel like the author is taking care of you. On the flip side of that, there is a lot of stuff in this novel that is not explained. There's a lot of backstory in this novel that is not explained. There are a lot of characters who are either mentioned or actually come onto the page and interact with the main characters. But it's never really quite explained who they are, and it kind of drives me crazy. But overall, so Grace and Jake are on this farm for a while, and they're reconnecting. And Jake is building this relationship with Frankie, which is great because he's her father, and it's fantastic. It's wonderful. And then it happens. Marvo kidnaps Frankie to get Grace to come to him willingly because he's holding her daughter hostage, and then so Grace has to go to his farm somewhere in the African Sahara, Middle East. I think it's in Morocco. And and then she has to try to train the pair, and she does it, and but then, you know, the novel ends in this really weird way. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, um, but I don't know. But I will tell you one thing, that if you read this novel and you find yourself being kind of confused, kind of like, who is this person? What's going on? I don't get it. I'll say just read it again. The novel's only about 300 pages. We're not dealing with a Game of Thrones book over here. See, look at this. It's not that thick at all. And so I say just read it again. See if you like it any better. If this is something that sounds intriguing to you, pick it up. Go to the library. I don't care. And I mean, this is one of my favorite books of all time. So I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks. Bye. My next book review is scheduled to come out July 6th, which is the first Saturday of July, and I will be reading Hitler's Daughter by Jackie French. So I'll see you then. Bye.